Hey folks, and welcome back to this side of the woods. My apologies for not being around the last, 3 weeks to a month. Life's been busy, work's been busy, I've been swamped, and the last thing I've had time for is to sit down and make a video. But we're back, and the project that we're working on today is a water wagon. As you guys know, I recently built the garden beds for my wife, and I'm going to be honest, I had to water them like 3 times, and walking back and forth that IBC tote 7 times, I got sick and tired, so I decided to spend a bunch of money and build a wagon that I can pull around that shoots water because I don't like to walk. So, let's get into it. Now, before we start, I already had this trailer, I already had the battery, so that saved me some cost, but I set this up off camera just because everyone's setup's going to be different, so I didn't really see there being a point for me showing you how to stick some wood to the back of a cage. This is going to be for the hose, so it swivels back and forth. I set this up in the middle just for the solar panel. I have everything pre-cut, ready to go. I'll go over all the parts and fittings I used, the switches, everything electrical that I rigged up, the solar panel. And then I just use a little bit of PEX to go. This is an RV pump. So inside an RV, I got it off Amazon. I'll post links to everything I had off Amazon so you guys can use the same stuff if this is something you're interested in. But the PEX is just going to run from here to the outside and from there to the outside here. And then the fittings will be flush mounted. And I'll show you that after. Little update on the garden. Things are starting to come in. We've been harvesting some lettuce, but everything else is still on its way. My wife built these the other day, little hoop houses, just because we don't have a greenhouse right now. So that way it kind of keeps everything protected from the animals, but also gives them that nice heat and dampness that they require. Nothing crazy, just PVC pipe, some vapor barrier, a little bit of strapping, and some 2x3s. But let me show you how we're watering right now. So as much as it's really not that hard to do, we have the tote just set up here. I fill it from the river. Crack this open. Fill it up and then water away. The problem is by the time you get these decently watered, you're about 1 to 1.5 beds, and then you're going back to fill up. It's not that it's hard, it's just time consuming and a little cumbersome. So I wanted to come up with an idea that makes life a little bit easier for all of us and makes it enjoyable, because if it's not enjoyable, it's not really worth doing. Let's get back and finish building. Now, how I plan to rig all this, that tote's gonna sit right in the middle. So it's sitting just over the axle because it's probably about 2,000 pounds by the time it's full of water. The battery and pump bin are going to be right in the middle here, and the switch is going to be mounted above. And then I picked this up on Facebook, just a little Princess Auto 1-inch pump. That's going to be in its own tote right here. So whenever we need to fill up the bladder, everything's in one trailer ready to go. There's no messing around. Now the battery I have right now, it's just a deep cycle marine battery. I use this for our little trolling motor when we had it on the back of our canoe. As you can see, there's a pattern here. I don't like paddling or anything crazy. If an engine's gonna work for me, it's gonna work for me. Or a motor. I don't know, this probably isn't the right battery. Someone's probably gonna give me grief online saying I should be using something different, but it's what I have. I'm not spending more money than I already have to, because this garden project is ridiculously over budget. So let's go through the parts that I needed here. This I already had. This is just for the top, and it's just a percentage gauge for how much battery's left. So if we pop the lid, we know. This is going to be the plug-in for the solar panel. These 2 leads I made just to come off the battery to give me a little bit more for my switch. And what I did with my switch is I put them on, I guess, little butt connectors, if I'm using the right term for these. And that way, if I wanted to disconnect stuff, I don't have to cut wires. Plug in, they're good to go. If I want to disconnect it to move stuff, I can disconnect it. So come winter time, I can take the battery out. I'm not needing to snip stuff and having to redo everything again. I like things being a little versatile. For my fittings, these right there are what I used on the pump. The pump uses a 1/2 inch, so I can take these off. That's just to stop bugs from getting in while it's away. So these little fittings right here, they turn on, or sorry, they twist on, and there's a rubber gasket. It's basically, it's a compression fit. So when you screw this tight, it fits on there. But the nice thing is that if you have to take it off and the PEX is on there, it's not going to keep turning with the PEX. This turns independently, and this is loose inside. Same goes for both sides, and that is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 12.7 millimeter female swivel adapter. I also put those female butt connector ends on here, so the other side of the switch can plug right into the pump. This pump is 5.5 gallons a minute, I believe, at 55 PSI. And I figure that should be plenty for the hose. I have these labeled. I cut my PEX yesterday. My in and my out. As with all fittings, unfortunately, you always have to buy 18 different ones to get one outcome. So this is a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 12.7 millimeter male adapter, and that is going to screw in. I have 2 of these, one for my female hose end and one for my male hose end, and all those R's. I'll put some Teflon tape just to make sure I got a nice seal in it, but that's going to come out of the box, and then the hose can screw into there. The plan on making this work is I don't like things hanging out and not being clean. So, although this is going to be extremely tight to do, if I take the hole I drilled was, I believe, 3/4, and I used a Dremel to give me a little bit bigger. These holes are both 3/8. What my plan is this basically pops right in, sort of threads itself in to where it's tight, and goes for the other side. And that's what you end up with. So they're both pretty much flush, and on each side they stick out, so there's enough to bite into to screw the hose in, but it looks neat and tidy. So now I just got to figure out how to get enough room to squeeze the PEX on. I'll crimp everything down, and then our pump is ready to go. Box set where I want it, so I can figure out where I want to put the switch. This is water in. I'm sure most of you have an idea, but in case you don't, this has the swivel head on it, so now I can just twist that on and be good. Keep that a little off. I was going to fix this in like with strapping just so it looked neat. When I tested it yesterday, just holding it, if I do that, I'm going to end up pinching this line. So as much as I like things to be flush and clean, there's not really much I can do there without kinking that, and that defeats the purpose. Now Now it's time. Let's run the solar panel up. We'll run that down, make sure that's neat. That's just going to plug in out here. And the reason I did that is on the other end of the panel is this size, and I would have had to cut a weird hole to get it through, and then the wires would have been there. So at least now, pretty tight in there. Not enough where it's going to cut into anything. That's nice. And then you saw the other holes. Sit this like this. Water will run off the back instead of falling onto my hose and my pump. Okay. And I can pull it. Looking pretty good. Let's see if stuff is going to work. Alright, let's try out the pump first. If I remember right, blue was negative and burgundy was positive. Nice and easy plug-in. Yeah. Pump is running. You don't have to know that I spent basically 2 nights trying to design this and figure it out like it's the Mona Lisa, but I didn't do that. Let's go drain the IBC tote. Let's watch me try to get the IBC tote in. And then, might as well bring her down to the river, fill her up. What's going to suck is this trailer is like a homemade trailer. I got it from my father-in-law who was sitting on his farm for, God, probably before I was even a thought. I'm going to be pissed if we put in 1,000 liters and the trailer breaks, because then all this work was for nothing. Okay, let this guy finish draining. Once it's empty, more treasure. Once it's empty, I'll get it loaded up. In the meantime, I'm gonna fill up the pump, get that primed, ready to go, and then we'll be able to fill it up, try it out, see if she works. I'm pretty excited. I really hope it works, because if it doesn't, I'm gonna be a little pissed off. Yeah.
Wait, which one are you lifting up on?
It doesn't matter. Go that way. Okay, we're just gonna lift and rest it on top. At first I didn't think I was going to have a long enough hose, but it's looking like I'm too long. I don't want to put tons of pressure. So I'm going to cut that quick, put the fitting back on so it's lined up. I think we're good to go fill up. Solar panel works. It's saying we're charged. Let's go see if we're wasting time. We had a big rain the other day, so the river's up. So this should work to my advantage for not having to get down there. There we go. Now. folks, the water wagon is complete. I'm actually quite happy with the way this turned out. I had a good idea in my head. I didn't know if it was going to pan out the way I really envisioned it, but it did. And everything's working as it should. I don't see any leaks. Now again, this is day one. Who knows what the longevity of this is going to be. But at least the nice thing is, come wintertime, I can drain the tote. Don't have to worry about it. I can clear all the pump, just carry it in this case. I can tender the battery, everything in one. And it's all easy to take apart. That was my biggest thing, is I like stuff that I can use, but if I have to dismantle it, then everything's just sort of plug and play. Nothing's hardwired in. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know why. Maybe it's an OCD thing, but I like things that I can take apart and use if I need it somewhere else and then put it back here. But all in all, this is I think this is going to work super well for what we need it for. Not only is this for the garden, but when I'm having brush fires out back, at least I have peace of mind now that if something starts getting out of hand, I have water on hand ready to go, and I'm not trying to run to grab the pump and not having enough hose, etc. So I hope you like this video. I hope you learned something. I hope this is an idea that you guys could use maybe one day. It doesn't have to be my setup. You can put plywood on the side, you can put plywood on the top, you can build everything right off the tote if you want to, and then if you have a tractor, you can just utilize it with the tractor. There's 1,000 ways to skin this cat, but the consensus of this is that it's just something that I want to be able to move around, and it saves me from running hundreds of feet of hose from my well to a spigot. I like cost breakdowns. I don't know, some people are against saying how much they spent. I'm going to put links to this anyways. Now remember, this is all in Canadian dollars. The battery I had, so I saved money on there. Usually a battery, something like that, I think it was about 150 bucks, brand new. The trailer I already had. I'm not even going to include a price of a trailer because you can buy one for 200 bucks, you can buy one for $2,000 if you decide to do that. The tote, 120 bucks. The bin from Costco, $10. The hose reel, 100, and came with the head. The switch, and I'm sorry if I get some of these wrong, but again, they'll be in the description so you can see all the exact pricing. The switch, I believe, was $14. The pump was, I think, $79 or $89. I had a little bit of that clear hose and those fittings. All the fittings that I showed you when I was putting it together, you're about $90 in fittings, which is insane, but welcome to buying 1,000 fittings to do one job, and the cost of brass. And the plywood I already had, a 2x4. Again, this is nonsense stuff. And the solar panel was $79.99. So I think after I ordered everything from Amazon, I was just under $300 for that. Call it another $80 for the brass fittings, and then 120 bucks for the tote. So what am I? I'm at, call it $300, $400, I'm gonna say $500 in material to get to where I am to have everything running, and that's not including the battery or this. So it's not the cheapest project. It is a easy as pie DIY. Like, anyone can do this. Trust me, if I figured this out, you can figure this out. That was my cost analysis and breakdown. You're about 500 bucks to get yourself running. Make sure if you're going to use one of these, I'm pretty sure most people would pay attention, but in case you don't, all these totes aren't the same. Some of these carry chemicals. I got this one washed. It had liquid sugar in it, I believe. So it's food grade, food safe. It was washed, cleaned, everything before I purchased it. I bought another one from an auction I thought was brand new. Turns out it wasn't, had like a cosmetic product in it. Not good for your plants. I don't want to spray that on something I'm going to eat, nor do I want to put that in my dirt. And it's basically just going for firewood now. So I overpaid for something that is a waste that I'm just going to cut up, but live and learn. Anyways, if you have any questions, shoot them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this DIY project. I hope it's something that kind of inspired you to get done. As always, if you like this video, consider subscribing. Shoot me a like if you enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. It doesn't cost you a thing. It shows me that what I'm doing, people enjoy. But that's all I have for you today, and I appreciate you coming back to the side of the woods.